All right, guys. Thank you for sticking around for the end of day webinar today. It's Friday, June 2nd, 2017. It's a little slow there this afternoon, guys, so we thought we would just start the webinar early just to, maximize the value and get the most out of the afternoon that we can. And I think we're going to get a little more value today out of a webinar than we will from trying to trade this last hour of really low volume chop. But I'm feeling really good today, guys, about going into this weekend. We actually had a really good all-around week and a really great finish today with MBOT short. I'm in such a good mood. I think I might actually post this webinar on YouTube as well, because it's been a while since I've posted anything publicly, as pretty much every one of our daily webinars now is just kept amongst our group members. Since there's so much detail into our core strategy, there's only so much we can really share in our public channels. So guys, let's get started with the play of the day today, MBOT. So I covered yesterday the couple of signals we had in this one, two longs and a short, and pretty much all singles. Nothing really followed through too much. This obviously I didn't get long in here. It didn't give enough of there wasn't any volume to start, and it just wasn't lining up for the pattern that I normally play. But we caught a second and a third long on it and a short, but no real massive home runs, just mostly singles, and that's been kind of the story of the week. It's been kind of the market hasn't really been allowing a lot of home runs, so we've been kind of just like for example CBIO. I think that was Wednesday. We sniped a really good entry for a second move here at 90, and we're anticipating, hey, this might hold a higher low, and we're looking for a high day push for a beautiful home run trade. But just kind of the way things have been going lately is the long side has been particularly difficult. So I'm very happy with how we've been just hitting singles and doubles and taking what we can get out of this market. Ultimately being patient, which means typically between 2 or 4 trades a day. Depending on what the market can give us. But despite the fact that it's been super slow out there, we've managed to stay really consistent with good trades and good ideas. There just hasn't been any real grand slams. But for MBOT today, this was definitely a home run trade. So let's go over the trade from start to finish. For those of you who are on the stream, you would have been following this one probably step by step with me, but the start of this trade was kind of in pre-market. The difficult thing about, and I think everyone would agree that it's always a little more difficult to get short a stock that kind of opens weak on the day. I don't think I was the only one who was really hoping that we'd see at least a morning push and a red to green push and fail. That way we could kind of size in a bit more, look for a lower high, and start to scale in for a big fader. So as much as I'm really happy with the outcome of this trade, and I think we played it as well as we could have, I was a little disappointed that it didn't get that morning push, because it would have made the difference. It really would have made the difference in like the amount of size you're able to safely get in the trade. But nonetheless, guys, we take what we can get, and I'm still going to call this a home run because it was just an absolute beauty of a fader for us today. We had, basically avoided shorting it the first day and the second day for the usual reasons, the things that we avoid pretty much always, the same rules that we always use, which I won't discuss right now, but you guys know what they are. And there was actually a signal late day on MBOT, but I didn't get it short. And I actually considered shorting after hours and holding overnight, but I decided against it, and I'm glad I waited, because it wouldn't have made much of a difference for me. It just would have costed me a bunch in overnight fees. So yeah, guys, the pre-market, I did dip my toes in there short, pretty much right at the open at like 5:15. That was a bit of a trivial start. I just wanted to get my feet in, and I was fully prepared for this to come back and push red to green. But I just wanted to get my feet in. The reason why is because it can be really difficult to actually get a position, especially like, for example, if SSR, if the short sell restrictions on the stock and it's gapping down, that just makes it kind of difficult But if you dipped in like I did super early, then you just sort of have to have a plan of where you're going to stop if it squeezes and be prepared to take that small hit. But ultimately, based on the research that we did, and especially thanks again to Drew, who just did an awesome job at piecing this one together through the filings for us, this turned out to be a really nice trade. So a starter at 515. But the real position, the real spot where we mostly got in most of our size in this one was actually this very first real bounce to 485. I actually got in at 484, as you guys know, and I think a bunch of you might have followed me in on that one. But this was a perfect sniping area to get short. I think a lot of people get a little carried away. They see the stock coming in and they'll find themselves chasing it down and then kind of panic a little bit on this type of bounce. So one thing that I think we've been doing really, really well is just staying ultra patient for the right entries and, scaling in into the trades with perfect, risk reward layouts and in a really good ultimate plan. So in this case, it was really no different. I was comfortable to scale in at 84. The stop for me was going to be a little wider than usual. I was going to go with a 501 stop. Okay, so initial plan was typically my trades are actually usually they're timed usually in a way that we have basically usually between 8 and 12 cents risk per trade. This one a little bit wider, maybe 15 cents in this one, but I couldn't have asked for a better place to scale in. If you guys were watching the stream, you'll remember I was just kind of saying, just wait for it. Let's get that push to 85. And I was able to add liquidity on the way in. Got some nice fills. And shortly after we got filled, a really, really nice wash. And from there, it was just a smooth fade all the way back down. I was covering all along the way. I didn't really hold I held a core position, but I was covering little bits all along the way there. And I didn't really make any other ads, really. You could have added on any one of these pops, but I started running out of shares to cover down near $4. And I think the best cover I got was 414, which is pretty modest, I guess. It got a little lower than that, but overall, just, from the initial entry being at 515, a really nice capture on this move and a really great finish to the week. I just visualized this trade today. We had very strong conviction that today was going to be the day, for a multitude of reasons that go far beyond just the fundamentals. Friday, day 3, 2 days of squeeze, and of course, all the actual fundamentals behind the trade as well. For those of you who haven't had a chance to check this out, I would highly recommend checking out Drew's webinar on fundamental research. This is something that obviously you're not going to find on our public channel, but if you are a member of the website, guys, this right here is maybe one of the best hours you'll ever spend on a webinar. He'll show you exactly what to look for in the filings, in the SEC filings, to spot weakness in the company, to understand a lot of things to do with when to expect offerings or when to anticipate that a stock is really going to, fade hard. And we've been using those exact same, rules and fundamental ideologies for the last few months in a lot of our bigger trades, and they've been working really well. Of course, you can know everything that you want or anything that you can know about a company, but at the end of the day, knowing how to time the trade is the most important part. So people, that information we had was available back here. We knew all the same stuff back here, but we knew not to short it back here until the timing was right. So it was all about timing on this trade. For me, the $5 level was a big spot. As soon as it broke 5, I really wanted to be in big on this one. Again, I wasn't able to get as much size as I wanted because of if the stock is opening weak and then this turns into a chase down and an SSR and all those reasons make it much more difficult to get any size. But ultimately, they tend to play out the same every time. It's just a matter of timing the trade properly. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Drew's webinar on fundamental research, I highly recommend it. It's actually changed the game for a few people. in our group. Like, I don't know if Danio is listening, but he can probably contest that since he watched that webinar, he's been swing shorting a lot of stocks and doing very consistent work with that. And I don't swing short as often. I've had a few this year. INXP was one. But for the most part, just using it to sort of affirm my bias. So once, look, at the end of the day, guys, I could know everything about MBOT to make me believe the stock is going back to 350. But guess what? I'm still going to be going long in here because it's not ready to go down yet. It's still SSR is on, shorts are trapped, we're getting signals to go long. So I'm still going to trade long and make money on the long side while I can. But the moment that that's no longer true and the shorts are no longer trapped, now longs are on the wrong side, the momentum is shifted and we get that reversal signal, then I'm 100% short bias, getting short. And instead of doing like the long sort of scalps where you're making 20, 30 cents, I'm looking to make a point or more on the downside. And that's exactly what we got today with MBOT. I think a lot of the guys who hit that trade with me have probably already left for the day. And I don't blame you, but who nailed MBOT with me? I know a bunch of you guys. Noda had it, Eli had it, Penny Flipper, this guy's just been a beast ever since he joined the room. I absolutely love trading with the guy. He's become a good friend of mine too. MBOT, all you guys did an awesome job on it, and it's a great way to finish the week, guys. So really, congratulations. And that kind of brings me to my next point in this webinar, which I was talking a little bit about. I think that some people may be having trouble kind of adapting to, a lot of people like to complain about things. I hear a lot of complaints, not in our group, but in Twitter land, choppiness out there. There's, manipulation, all these different little excuses why things aren't going well. But I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me what the market is doing. We're still just going to follow the same signals and triggers. And yeah, the only difference is that we're getting less of them. So it might only be a couple trades a day, but look, I don't care if there's if I get 3 trades in a day and it's 3 winners or 2 winners, I'm happy with that. So we're basically in a market right now where, yes, there is a reason to complain. There's not as many home run opportunities, right? It's not like it was last June when we're having, having all these insane runners that are just like KONE was one. In June, July last year were 2 of the best months I had of 2016 because the market was really allowing for these massive home run trades. HMNY was another one where I made, did a lot on that one. And a lot of the money I made in these were on the long side, on the squeeze, and I still shorted them too. But those were fantastic opportunities. But in the market we've been in for the last 5-6 weeks, it's still been fine. We're still playing signals and triggers, making money here and there with the opportunities we do get. But the key has been to just not push it. Don't force it. We know that we haven't been getting as many secondary moves in these small cap stocks. So what are we doing? Instead of trying to play the secondary move, as soon as we don't get the trigger, we know to short it. So again, CBIO is a good example of a trade that I had with you guys on Wednesday, where we got a long signal at 90 right here, 490, and this was looking really promising for potentially a secondary move. And what I mean by a secondary move, for those of you who don't know, is when the market is really good, especially when small caps are really good, we'll get these morning squeezes. We haven't been seeing a lot of this lately. We'll get this morning squeeze, and then we'll get this secondary setup on the 5-minute chart where the stock puts a second move through high a day, typically after 11:30, which is kind of unexpected by the shorts, and that's what creates these really big, sometimes multi-day runners. And I've been hawkeyeing these trades every day, looking for signals that we can get in, and then if it does make that secondary move, that first, stock that really catches the shorts off guard, we're going to be, in it and ready to really make a big trade on it. But there just hasn't really been as many opportunities for secondary moves. And if you go back through basically any chart, not any chart, but most, 95% of the charts in the last 5 weeks, you're going to see basically just like this. Big run up in the morning, a lower high, and then we're looking for a signal, no signal for a long, so we get short and it fades. So a lot of the plays have been either morning momentum or the fader in the late afternoon. Not even in the late afternoon, the late morning. And to me, I couldn't care less which way it goes. I got shorts if I need shorts. If the stock gives a great risk reward scenario or set up for a long, perfect. But it does seem like after the initial morning momentum, most of the trades in the late morning have been on the short side. And then usually I've been able to find one or two really good setups for an afternoon long trade. So I like to go long in the morning, early morning, or if there's a secondary setup, which we haven't been seeing as much of lately. I like to try to find a trigger in this area, but then I basically stop looking for longs, typically between 12 and 1:30, and then I'm looking through all the charts going into 2 p.m. and looking for the best one to go long, because I do like going long in the 2 p.m. time frame. So yeah, that's been kind of the process lately. So whatever stock is doing volume and gapping up in the morning, if we can get a clean setup to trade it, we'll take it. But if it kind of comes up and then holds and doesn't give a signal or a setup in here for a secondary move, we end up shorting. And if it does end up, for example, if it in this case, we got long 90 right here. And yeah, we sold at like 504 and 514, but I still had a half size position, and I was looking for this to hold a higher low at 505, consolidate, and then go for that rip, which would have been, a massive trade. In that case, I probably would have actually added those cells back in, because it kind of be like a whole secondary setup. But it just haven't been seeing as much of that lately. So a little more on the short side. In this time of day, short has been way more common. The morning momentum has been okay for longs, and the 2 p.m. has been kind of hit or miss. Either there's a good setup and I take it, there's nothing, and then we just wait and look for triggers and signals. So it's been a mixed bag. But yeah, I mean, I totally understand where people are coming from in terms of, sure, we're not getting all of the best action we've seen in the market lately, but the process really doesn't change. It's just you kind of just have less opportunities. So it's just really important to be on your toes and just make sure that you're taking advantage of the ones that we get. And for example, yesterday's webinar was entitled Hitting Singles. And that's because that's kind of what this week was all about. We hit 3 or 4 trades a day pretty much all week, and those trades were pretty much, risk 10 cents, make 30. You make some money on those trades, and or risk 5 cents, make 20, just singles, because the long side, aside from the morning momentum, the long triggers just haven't been giving us home runs as often. Okay, so yeah, obviously MBOT, that was a big runner, and there's the occasional big runner, but for me, I thought the MBOT long was a little harder to get involved in. The short was a lot easier for me anyways, I find, in this particular case. But yeah, ultimately, guys, I mean, you take what the market gives you. After 10 years, you learn how to adapt, you learn how to adjust, but ultimately the process always stays the same. It's not like my strategy really changes. It's just the frequency of triggers and signals, the frequency of trades kind of goes down a little bit in this kind of environment. And the only adjustment I've made is I don't expect as much on the long side anymore. So I'm just locking in profits a little sooner on my long trades, and I'm holding out the shorts a little longer because the shorts have been working better, okay? So ultimately, though, guys, I mean, there's really nothing to complain about. There's still good trades out there every day, and lots of, like ETR, here's another example, like ETRM. This is just a gap and fade. Those are great plays for us whenever those show up. Drew, is always on top of the research, and it's easy to pick up. Once we have the fundamental bias and we get the signal to go short, it's easy to hold a trade like that all the way through, right? So the level of teamwork, between Drew, everybody really, all the alerts you guys give, but Drew and Eli, Penny Trader, these guys are all really putting together a great team for us. So it's really just been a pleasure this month. The whole month has been, for me, and hopefully for you guys too, a lot of fun. And in between, the trades where things are just a little slower, especially over lunch, we're just doing webinars and doing whatever we can to keep ourselves busy, and just doing whatever I can to help you guys, further educate yourselves and further develop as best I can. So just keep it tight, guys. Keep going for the good entries. Keep using the risk management techniques and the entry and exit points that we're teaching you guys to snipe out. and just keep trucking along, you know. So today we hit a home run in MBOT. It was an awesome way to finish the week and to start the month. But tomorrow it might just be going back to hitting singles again until the market starts heating up again for us, guys. So anyways, keep up the good work, guys. Thanks very much for a great week. I hope you guys really enjoy the weekend. You deserve it. You did an awesome job this week. So thanks again for being a part of this community. Each and every one of you really does help make it a better place. So I appreciate it. And thanks again, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday.